Hey guys, how are ya? I decided to do a live today. I know I said yesterday I wasn't going to do one, but surprise, bonus live for you guys. I have a whole slew of back pieces that I want to cover, so I'm going to knock them off. I'm trying to keep these succinct, so that I can do more often. Because when I do the 2-hour jobs, it takes a lot out of me. So if I keep my lives down to a minimum, it's not bad. So how many people we have on now? What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right into the subject. And so people who are watching the replay, which is quite a bit, they could get to it right away. So let's just jump into it. And if you missed the beginning, then, well, you can watch the replay. So let's just jump into the article here. Let me select it. So again, from zdnet, once again, the article is in the description. Here we go. Microsoft's TypeScript 4 programming language arrives. It's a big milestone. TypeScript 4 is the accumulation of Microsoft's work of the past 2 years based on feedback from developers. So let's go on. So credit to the author. This was in August, a few months ago. So let's get into it. This is the first time I'm reading the piece with you. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the first time I'm reading the piece with you, so that we both read it together, and I'll give you my commentaries as we go. Hey guys, I hope everybody is well. Let's just jump into it. Microsoft released TypeScript 4, the latest iteration on its hugely popular programming language for building large JavaScript web applications. So yeah, TypeScript 4 release is technically a major milestone with a host of new features. This came out in August 2020. Few months ago. However, according to TypeScript's creator Anders Heilsberg, a technical fellow at Microsoft, it's just the accumulation of work his team has been focusing on since TypeScript 3 was released 2 years ago. Okay, it's funny, we were joking about 4.0. Well, it just so happens to be what comes after 3.9. And literally, if you look at our release history, yes, we hit round numbers every 10 releases, and we hit 3.0 about 2 years ago. The author, Heilsberg, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, told zdnet. But of course, in a sense, a good way to look at it is what's happened in those 2 years since 3.0. Let's jump in, we'll find out. So I'm just going to pronounce this Heilsberg. I'm probably doing that wrong, my apologies. Says there are several main themes driving changes in TypeScript, including the experience with editors like Microsoft's Visual Studio Code, which by the way is a very good code editor, better error messages, and better refactoring. Okay, cool. This is 2 important points because any experienced developer will tell you spend a lot more time debugging than writing original code typically. So when you have good error messages, which is huge thing that used to really tick me off about development in the Microsoft space, 20 years ago, was the terrible error messages. You would get these random numbers, and you're like, oh, that's very helpful. And one of the things that was really useful about Java back in the day is that the error messages thrown were actually descriptive of the error, which made it easier to debug. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's in the past. Anyway, better error messages and better refactoring. Refactoring basically means rewriting your code so it's easier to understand and simplified. We've worked a lot on performance, scalability, because people are starting to build really large projects in TypeScript, and they still want this super snappy performance on a project with hundreds of thousands of lines of code in it, and that's not an easy problem to solve. No, it isn't. These are rare applications, by the way. Microsoft released TypeScript in 2012, and the language, a superset of JavaScript, has, as of July, become a top 10 programming language among developers. I wonder which ratings. According to analysts from RedMonk. Okay, so RedMonk. RedMonk's analyst Stephen O'Grady reckons TypeScript's popularity is sustainable and was no fluke given the ubiquity of JavaScript and its optional types safety. Microsoft boasts that on NPM, the popular JavaScript package manager, TypeScript, for the first time cracked 50 million monthly downloads in July of 2020. One of the performance improvements in TypeScript 4 addresses slow startup times on bigger projects. Dan Rosenweiser of TypeScript team explains that the culprit is usually a process called project loading, where multiple dependencies are resolving. So the team has been working on partial editing mode at startup. The core idea is that editors can run lightweight partial servers that only look at the current files that the editor has opened. He notes, this has always been an option for editors, but TypeScript 4 expands the functionality on the server to some semantic operations as opposed to just syntactic operations, which was previously the case. Yeah. So what's going on? While this limits the information available, it's enough for basic code completion of a quick information when an editor is first opened up. According to Rosenweiser, he's seen machines take up to a minute before TypeScript is responsive on a file in VS Code. Whoa. But the new mode in TypeScript 4 cuts that time to responsiveness down to a few seconds. Okay, that's good. Something I always talk about, write time speed of a programming language is much more important, generally speaking, than runtime speed. Why? Because computers are so fast. Bandwidth is increasing incredibly quickly that runtime speed for most operations, most sites are secondary issue at best. For most, not all, for most. Anyway, so yeah, how fast you write when you're writing a code is more important, in my opinion. Among the many improvements, TypeScript 4 are smarter auto imports to help when auto imports doesn't work as expected and harms developer productivity. One stumbling block was the auto imports sometimes would work on packages that were written in TypeScript. TypeScript 4 now does a little extra work in editor scenarios to include limited number of packages you listed in your package.json's dependency field. Information from these packages is only used to improve auto imports and doesn't change anything else like type checking. This helps alleviate the cost of walking through your node module directory while fixing one of the most common problems we've heard of for new projects. Is that it for that article? Yeah, that's it for that article. Okay, so basically, from what I can see in the article, TypeScript's update really helps with writing TypeScript code in terms of startup time and so on. That's good. I see there's a couple of people on here that actually use TypeScript in their work. Maybe they can comment on that. I will display it. I will display it like I display here. Boom. So if you have any comments about TypeScript, do so. Yeah. There you go. So that's the latest piece. TypeScript is basically a superset of JavaScript. It's basically making JavaScript more secure, run faster. I have not looked at TypeScript myself. I think that it's something that it's useful, it has its place, but I think it's for very large projects, that's when you're going to use it. All right, there you go. If there's any comments on TypeScript, let me know. Put them in the comments, and I will paste them to the screen. And now I'll do a little bit of Q&A. Yes, TypeScript is from Microsoft. Yes, here we go, Lobo. Yes, from the same guy who helped design C#. Oh, there you go. C# is a good language. He worked in Delphi too. So a strong base there, you know. Let's see what Jerry has to say. If you should choose PHP versus Node now, is Node any stronger nowadays? I don't know. You know, I haven't looked at the latest data. My general belief about all the top 10 languages, if you will, you can't really go wrong with any of them. They all have their place. Again, you do your foundations, you get a lay, so you have an understanding of what it's like to code in Python and JavaScript, etc. So that you can make a judgment. And then you look around at job opportunities in your area or in the type of businesses you want to work for, and then you concentrate on that particular language. Because you want to work for a large corporation, then C#, .NET, Java are probably your best choices. If you want to do small business development and freelance, PHP is probably your best choice, etc. Adrian says, PHP is stronger than Node. Maybe job-wise, I'm not sure. Are PHP developers called PHPs? Very funny. I don't think it's a coincidence that PHP starts with P and powerful starts with P. All right. I don't understand PHP's type system. Is there any or not? You got to look at PHP 7. They got a little bit more strict up there. What about Deno removing TypeScript from an internal compiler? I don't know. I don't know the news on that. I like that one. That's good. That's good. If people don't know, the elephant is the PHP logo. Thank you for putting this stuff out there. No problem. It's interesting to me to keep up to date. My job as an owner of a couple of projects, I have to be, I don't actively code. It's not time, but I have to keep my eye out there in terms of what's going on. I'm not running around learning everything because it's impossible, but just, keep my eye out, see what the development is like. Keep my finger on the nerd pulse. That's all. So I figure, instead of me just reading these and then I figure I'll read them with you, and then together we'll explore what's coming out. And that's the idea behind this live stream to a great extent anyway. Thanks for putting on. Okay, got that. Hello, David. I hope everything is well. PHP at Death Strong has more jobs. There we go. Rob Burns approves. That would seem huge in my opinion. Well, again, the article said it's a big milestone. So there's a link to the article. As I said, I was reading this article with you guys, real time, live. I hadn't read it before. So you got an authentic reaction from me with regards to it. I guess they say it's a big milestone because it helps. It looks like to me, it helps just like, productivity in terms of from a coder's perspective, from a developer's perspective. If there's a guy who said he does use TypeScript on here, give us your commentary on that if you have any. Can you go more into how TypeScript fits into web app in relation to other tools, like how it connects, etc.? I couldn't say. I got a feeling it's just basically JavaScript with added capability, added security, added speed, because I believe it's strongly typed. Again, I'm not a TypeScript programmer. All right. Yeah, good to know that it came from a C# designer. Yeah, it is good to know. Yeah. WebAssembly for progressive web apps. It's a Need2Nerd tech, maybe. Once in a while, Again, my general thinking, rightly or wrongly, is that speed of write time, speed when you're writing a code is more important than runtime speed for most projects, 99.9% of projects. Most of us are not building the next Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Most of us are building websites, web apps that will be used by a certain limited number of people. It could be 5,000 people, 10,000 people if we're lucky. And you take any of the languages and frameworks these days, because servers are so powerful, because software and languages are so optimized, and because clients, whether it be smartphones or laptops, are so fast these days, runtime speed is becoming less of an issue in most situations. But that's just my opinion on that. Abra Ahmad says, what you suggest for a developer who is just starting a dev career, JavaScript or TypeScript? JavaScript. If you learn JavaScript, you can move to TypeScript pretty easily, so I wouldn't worry. Without Laravel, will PHP die? No, it won't, because most PHP is scattered outside of Laravel. Although Laravel is the dominant the dominant MVC framework for PHP. Laravel makes PHP, and I think Symfony as well, but Laravel is by far more popular. Last I checked, Laravel makes PHP viable for just about any type of project. That's its big advantage. But a lot of people write PHP for stuff without ever using Laravel. I want to create tutorials, but English is not my primary language. So do them in your primary language. I hesitate a lot while talking. What to do? Practice, practice, practice. Like you see on this channel, I have 1,700 videos. Go look at videos I did 9 years ago and compare them to today. There's a big difference. Like anything else in this life, practice makes perfect, right? No, because of WordPress. Yeah, that's a good point. With regards to PHP usage, a big part of PHP usage is because of WordPress. Code invaders, 100%. What do you think about the future of Flutter for a website? I don't know. I like Flutter as a tech, and I know it's being adopted, and people really like it when they use it. But I haven't been looking into what the nerd zeitgeist is saying about Flutter recently. But I'm sure it might have some legs. It might have some legs. Is there a free trial for, here it is. Is there a free trial for a complete web developer course? No, but I have 30-day refund, so it's pretty much like a trial. If you don't like it, you just get your money back. Here we go. Recoding with Node, JS, and Angular. I like that there is one language in front end and back end, TypeScript. Oh, there you go. Do it anyway. A lot of non-English marine-speaking people doing tutorials, no problem. Publish it in Udemy. There you go. Okay, John Grady says, I'm 35, about to finish the BS in information technology. I liked my coding classes. I have no programming work experience. I'm thinking about an online master's program. Is that a good idea? It depends where you want to work. I think that if you have a BS in information technology, you could go straight into coding now. Just learn a little on your own, do a couple of freebie projects, put up your resume site, and because you got that degree, you can get even jobs in large organizations. But look into that. Look at the job opportunities. Talk to recruiters maybe. See what they have to say before you commit yourself to a new online program that could take you out of the game for a year or so. However long that program's going to be, I don't know. Is the MERN stack bad to get hired? I heard that the MERN stack is a lot of people were excited about it, but not too many jobs. That's what I was told. I don't know. I haven't looked myself, but to keep that in mind, research it. Is it because of MongoDB? I'm not sure. Should I learn SQL? It said you should learn SQL, period, because most of the database stuff is still done with SQL-based databases. Rob Burns, I don't see TypeScript overtaking JavaScript and actually may even disappear eventually. I think TypeScript's appeal, from my understanding, is for very, very large projects. So that means it's going to be a niche technology, in my opinion. JavaScript is never going to be overtaken. Yes. Have you seen PHP 8? It is release candidate, and they improved the type system considerably. Yeah. No, I haven't looked at it. I don't look at release candidates often. I may peek at them if I have time. I have nothing else to do. But I wait until they get released. And then typically I would wait to an 8.1. I'm kind of worried about always, especially big major releases, like from a 6 to I'm never at a 6, but from a 5 to a 7. I waited a little while to make sure they worked out some buggeroonies. I forget if they had. Then going from a 7x to an 8x. When you go from major release to major release, I like to let things settle a little bit before I jump in. In my country, React and Angular, massive work demand. See, there you go. It's all country dependent. It's interesting to see what is in demand and where. Why this happens like that. Should I learn more that's in demand locally? If you want to work locally, you learn what's in demand locally, of course, right? What's the main difference between SaaS and hosted? SaaS and hosted. I don't know what you mean by that. Why TypeScript not free at data type like JavaScript? Speed. They want speed. TypeScript is kind of a must in front end nowadays, in my opinion. Perhaps. I don't know. Enjoying your course a lot. Just finished my 20 minutes. Good. See, you're already 20 minutes ahead. I don't know, you've done maybe, 3 or 4 lessons, answered maybe 5 or 6 quiz questions, maybe 7 or 10 quiz questions. That's good. You just do that every day. Next thing you know, you'll be coding. Do you only talk in your videos or you're going to program something? I have a platform called StudioWeb where there are literally hundreds of videos where I teach HTML, CSS, JavaScript, DOM scripting. I teach object-oriented programming in Python. I teach PHP, server-side programming. I teach SQL. Hundreds of video lessons, literally hundreds of video lessons on coding right there. This is my vlogish podcasting presentation here. But even on this YouTube channel, you can find some playlists with some of my Python stuff and my JavaScript stuff. Yep. There we go. Glenn. I do find its type safety reduces errors, of course. I'm using it for AWS Lambda functions. There you go. Yeah, I'm torn about that because I like strongly typed languages because it helps reduce errors, without a doubt. When you're coding, strongly typed languages are easy to organize yourself, because sometimes you can lose track of the data types in the scripting languages like a JavaScript and a PHP, etc. But they also have their advantage on the flip side as well. So, it depends. Depends. Always very circumstantial. The greatest benefit of TypeScript is the IDE's hinting and catching errors. Yeah, it's strongly typed. Obviously, only when you build your interface's types properly. Yeah. Yes, I did the article. You would have to play back from the beginning. I jumped right into it. Just read an article, commented on an article on zdnet. So if you want to get to that. Jerry, most important for me is that types help understand your own code. Security is a plus. Yep, no question. Python's asynchronous ecosystem is lacking and not mature enough, and since Node.js has been asynchronous from the start, I don't have to worry about its maturity. Yeah, that's a good point, Jonathan. I know that the inclinations for a lot of young nerdlings is to be monolithic in terms of their technology choices. I'm a Node coder, JavaScript, or Node TypeScript, or I'm a Java guy, or I'm a Python guy only. No. Lots and lots of software out there built using multiple languages. So if I was needing to do some asynchronous stuff, I would not be using Python. I would definitely just create that in Node, and then I would interface, I would connect, let's say my app was Python Django. I would build it in Python Django, and if I needed to do asynchronous stuff, I would do that in Node, and then I would pipe that into my app via whatever method was best. And I would just leverage Node where it's good. That's it. There's this illusion that somehow jumping from one language to the next is really hard. It's not if you know how to program. It's a minor inconvenience for the first few days, Ruby 2.72 is just released. What's your opinion? I have no opinion. I'm just joking. I haven't looked. I don't know. I think I read an article maybe a few months ago, and the founder of Ruby, the creator, the Japanese guy, I forget his name all of a sudden, he was saying that due to the core Ruby, it could never be like super optimized for speed or something, if I remember correctly. He was basically shutting down the idea that Ruby could ever be turned into a high-performance language. I'm not sure about that. It's been a while, but I remember he was saying that. I make fun of Ruby as a joke. But at the end of the day, if it works for you, it works for you, Alan, is it better code Aladdin, is it better to code AI for virtual GF with Ruby, or find some hot Spanish girl called Ruby? If you're looking to code a girlfriend, you don't want to do it with Python. What about the future of Elm? I don't know. Niche language, as far as I know. Could you share what camera microphone you are using? The quality looks very good. I am using a Canon. I'm using a Canon cinema camera, which is the Canon C300 Mark III. And I'm pull it off here. I'm using a DAV microphone. Deity, get in focus. There it is. Deity S2, I think it is. There we go. Deity S2. That's the mic. That's the microphone. Deity S2. There, very professional production here. All right, so, but I'm telling you, when it comes to video work, the camera is less important than the lighting. Lighting is much more important, so work on your lighting first. You can take a cheap camera and make it look pretty good if you just work on your lighting. I just wasted my money on this camera, I think. Well, no, it's a great camera, but I don't really need to spend that kind of money, in all honesty. Just work on your lighting if you want to do video work. Again, like everything else, all the basics. Jed says, is StudioWeb using Vue or React with Laravel? Vue. Zoltan says, currently TypeScript is a language that you compile into target languages like JavaScript or WebAssembly, so you can't compare the speed. Deno is too early to see. There you go. Zoltan seems to know. I was thinking about live translation for YouTube live streams through ML. Any resources? Check out that, GPT-3, whatever it is. I don't know. But I think YouTube does it to a certain extent, but check it out. Is there any job opportunity for 30-year-old junior developers? Plenty. 30 is a very good age. Okay, we'll see what Shyam has to say. I am interested to hear from you on this. Everyone says Node can be used for backend. Sure can. However, I don't see how we could implement complex backend business logic in JavaScript. Your thoughts? Why not? A lot of people do. JavaScript is just a weird language. I know it's tricky and it's inconsistent with operator overloading and stuff. You just have to be careful about your coding. Have some strict conventions in place so that when you write the code, people follow those conventions. Yeah, that will help a lot with you. Lazar team says, I would recommend TypeScript for every JS developer with over a year experience. It helps to save a lot of time chasing ridiculous bugs, and it makes it harder to write bad code. Man, the strict typing will do that. Mike Roberts, there are many successful languages based on JavaScript. Eventually, JS will become known as the compile-to language. Could be. Can I sign up for your mentorship anytime? Yeah, pretty much. And I'm expanding that, by the way. I released it about 6 months ago, maybe 7, and as a pilot. So now we're about to release a whole big addition to it. So whoever joins, you become part of it permanently, essentially, at least for the content. So new course material, new services and stuff. So that's going to come out. I don't know. I'm waiting for one of my devs to finish his work. But yeah, anytime you want, there's no hurry there for you. But yeah, we're releasing new stuff. Is StudioWeb using TypeScript? No, it's not. No needed, not needed. You should do a video about SEO and coding. These days, if you just write decent code, which everybody does now in terms of your websites, using modern techniques and technologies, it's pretty SEO oriented. And then it's just a question of writing content that targets a particular audience, having good metadata, etc. I know you can really go into more details, I suppose, if you wanted to. But the major points are that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll look into it later on. It's just I got so much on my plate. Carlos Escalante, I guess. Hi, Stefan. My salary has been stuck for a couple of years. Any recommendation how to get paid more? How much FU money do I need to make a transition as a freelancer? I would have 1 year of FU money, so you have a 1 year runway. In terms of you're stuck at a salary, a lot of times that happens where you might have to move from company A to company B. Also, just talk to maybe your manager. Ask them, hey, what's going on? Maybe you need to up your skills. I don't know. But start communicating. How do you change your background in Google Meets? Hello. When we need strict checks in if conditions that used 3 equal. Yeah. I understand. I would imagine so. It is said that TypeScript is better for testing and debugging than JavaScript. I imagine so because JavaScript is wet and wild. Here we go. I'm my second year CS major student. What language should I learn which will help me in the next 5 years? Depends where you want to work. I would stick to one of the C languages. Personally, C++, Java, C#, JavaScript, TypeScript. I would look at job opportunities, try to think of what type of career do you want. Do you want to work for somebody? Do you want to work for a large corporation? Do you want to work for a startup? Do you want to do freelance? Do you want to build your own thing? Those questions are more important than anything else because that will dictate which particular language and stack you decide to use. All right, 30 minutes. I'm going to be wrapping this up. We got to not ask the same question 10 times there, Asha. Hi, Stephen. Will you create a course about finding customers and validating a successful SaaS idea? It's already done. My mentoring program, part of it will teach you all that, of course. That's much more of a business question than anything else. And it's a process. Business is a process and a way of thinking. I used to say there's 2 different types of thinkers, minds in this world. So let me back up. There are 2 minds in this world. People who employ people and people who are employees. And it's not to denigrate any particular group, but when you become an entrepreneur, business owner, it slowly changes the way you view the world and how you approach things. And when you are in business, it's much more about a process than anything else. So when people you see on YouTube, I got this secret great business idea, it's going to make you all kinds of money. It's a process. And you never know exactly what the product is that's going to work for you or what the service is going to be like. The process has to be executed. And through the execution of the process, you will find your product or service that works. Anyway, I talk about that in my various courses. Sam. Hey, Steph, thanks. Been studying front end. I've been building my own things and had some clients. Cool. Could I apply for an internship at a company with basic knowledge of JavaScript? Yeah, the most important thing is the work you've done for clients. So put up your website, make sure it looks good, and put up the work that you've done with clients so people can see what you've done. It's crucial and super important people understand that it's very important that you can show that you've actually worked with real clients on real projects, even simple ones. That makes you very interesting for prospective employers as opposed to somebody who's done just projects from a course. I'm not helping myself out here. If I wanted to, I can start putting out all kinds of courses. You got to do this project and this project and do this project and buy this course from buy this course. It doesn't work that way in reality. Reality is 1 or 2 project courses after foundations. Get out there and do the real deal. Do you still recommend PHP for web dev? Yeah, 100%. I just did watch my live from yesterday. You'll see that according to Indeed.com, one of the biggest job sites in the world, PHP is the fastest growing language, job-wise, in the world. Over 800% growth. I'm guessing it's probably because of small business jumping up because of COVID. Do you think landing a full stack job as your first tech job realistic? Yep, I know people who have, just with my courses. Why Vue and not React on your platform? I just like Vue. I thought it was a cleaner, easier to use technology. Hey, Steph, thanks for a QA. Should I change careers from product manager I've been doing for 3 years to program? Is it wise at this time? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of factors. I don't know how old you are. Do you have a wife and kids? Do you have FU money saved up? Do you have any liabilities? Do you you have any experience writing code? Have you developed any contacts? There's a lot of factors involved. Notice a lot of these things I'm talking about, they're not technical. They're not technical. I know as programmers, somebody put a thumbs down. I'm just thumbs down. If you're going to give me a thumbs down, give me 2 thumbs down. Really sock it to me. As programmers, we tend to always think in terms of tech. We got to get outside of that box a little bit and start thinking in terms of business considerations and job considerations and relationship considerations, right? That plays a major role. Let's see. What and weed? What's this? Eric Tenisella. Is algorithms and data structures essential for developers, whether it's front end or back end? No, it's not. It's actually well over exaggerated in most situations, I find. I find it algorithms, data structures, very exaggerated. For the vast majority of programmers, what you need is just basic best practices in software development and so forth. In some areas you need it. What's this? Troy, should you use vanilla PHP or a framework? For any projects that are beyond super 1 or 2 page things, I would go with a framework. If you're doing some simple stuff, then just use vanilla PHP. Hello, long time watcher. How do you say your name? Fiacre? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Hello, long time watcher. Do you think it's possible to get an IT job after the military? Why not? I think a lot of people would find that great that you have a military background. Shows that you have discipline, which is huge. Should I learn Java for backend? I've answered that question many times. I'll just say, in short, Java is good. There's nothing wrong with Java. All right. Delphi or C Sharp? C Sharp. All right. How are we doing? Okay. We're going to close this off pretty soon. Give me some thumbs up if you do like these live streams, or if you prefer, I just do pre-recorded stuff. Hello, sir. Can a web full stack developer be and desktop software developer and mobile app developer and data scientist at the same time as a hobby? Oof, that's a lot. Well, if you want to do full stack, desktop, and mobile, you do that all web. So it's all the same, right? Do PWA for desktop and mobile. Yeah, so I don't know about data scientists, I'm not sure, you choose what you want. What about jQuery Future? Hamid, jQuery Future, it's going to be around for years, but it's just going to slowly slow down. I never jumped on the jQuery bandwagon. I was always a big proponent of vanilla JS over that. Nothing wrong with it. It's cool. It's got some real cool tools, but it's really lost a lot of its mojo. Why do so many job postings ask for a computer science degree? Is it really possible to get a job without one? Yeah, there's plenty of jobs without, it depends where you're looking. Large organizations are going to require pieces of paper, smaller not. Hi, I landed my first job in IT at 38. Congratulations. I'm glad you posted that because a lot of people are a little worried about that. So first job at 38. Just want to thank you for the great thoughts in all these years while I learned about the business. Congratulations, Damir. Good job. There you go. He's 38. He's getting old. No, you're not old. You're quite young. I'm 169, 38. So yeah, I see people, I'm 30, is it too old? I'm 25, is too old. He just got his first job. So I know people much older have got their first job. Hey, Steph, what are your thoughts on Flutter? I think last time I looked at Flutter, it's been a while. It's very good. Apparently people who use it love it. I don't know how widespread it's going to be. I haven't paid attention to that. Chances are it will be a niche tech, but Google backs it. So, Hey, Steph, what about personal projects that you came up with are those attractive to employers if they're being used by real people. Just, it helps if you have stuff you did. Hey, I built this, I built that, and here, look at this, like on my own. It's good. People, okay, that's cool. But if you would say, let's say you built you built a mini social platform for some specific niche that you just decided to build, and you had even not 500 users. And you go, look, I got 500 users on this platform, little thing I built. That's going to be far more impressive. People want to see developers who've actually taken an idea, coded it, and have real people using it. That's big. Pizzas and nachos. I love pizza. Hey, Steph, do you have any advice for a CS student who doesn't want to be a web developer? I find nearly all advice tutorials catered for the web, looking for something embedded and technical. There's a lot more jobs with the web, so I think that's why you're seeing that. But yeah, there's no problem. The principles are the same, dude. About preparing the skill set, do the work, show real projects, build up your reputation, write code, look for jobs in the same areas. It's kind of universal, regardless of where you're actually going to end up coding and what type of coding you do. I hope that makes sense. There we go. End up with a couple of jokes. What do you think of Pascal? Yeah. What are your Fab Books? I put a couple of books in the description. One on refactoring you should take a look at. If you're intermediate level coder, that's the one book I would get. All right, last few questions. What do you think of blockchain development? We're switching over to the salaries seem much higher. It's hard to say. I think it's going to be a niche tech. I think blockchain is it's good tech, but I think it's highly niche. I wouldn't be racing to it personally, but All right. Any other interesting questions? How do you compare Node with other backend techs? I would use Node for Synchronous, and that would be my go-to language. I last time I checked, I know the packages was a real mess in that ecosystem. That's what I liked about PHP. It was much cleaner at the time. I haven't looked at Node backend in a couple of years, so who knows where it is from. But again, they're all good. Where's the plant? Of course, yeah, there's the plant. It's right there. It's right in front of me. Do you read nonfiction? I read mostly nonfiction. Once in a while, I read fiction. Bobby. Hey, Steph, maybe you already have answers. What do you think about Next.js? Do you think it's the future? I think it's probably a niche technology. It's probably a niche technology. Last question here. There we go. Hello, Steph. What is your advice for a beginner who wants to start a career in game development? I'm in college and they force us using Java, but I like to start my career in C#, C++. Learn Java, and then once you know your Java, for you to learn C# will be pretty easy, very easy, super easy, because they're very, 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 very similar. And likewise, to learn C++, a little bit more difficult because it's a little bit C++, a little bit different, a little more different, it's lower level than Java or C#. But again, it won't be hard for you. So just learn Java. You can do games with Java, Android games, for example. But, last one, Yitech. Why life is tough? Because the universe works on one basic model. It has a creative, destructive model of evolution. So the universe, not just our planet, but the entire universe uses creative destruction to advance itself and to improve upon itself. It wants to see something created, then destroyed by something better. That's just the way it is. That's why animals eat other animals and we eat plants. That's why old ideas are replaced with new ideas. So when the world and society is putting pressure on you, it's building you up just like if you're lifting weights. Your muscles don't get bigger, they don't get more refined, whether it's your physical muscles or your brain muscle. They don't get better unless there's pressure. There's an old Japanese expression, I'm going to butcher this, but there's an old Japanese expression, you can't make hard steel without a hot flame. And that's what it is. So when you're feeling pressure, just remind yourself that you are building up strength, mental strength, physical strength. So you want to expose yourself on a regular basis, but give yourself rest to pressure, to build up your abilities, to build up your intellect, to build up your strength, to build up your emotional position. In fact, and I'll leave you with the story, I've had some friends, guys I grew up with, who they were sheltered. They were from middle-class families or even wealthy families. They were sheltered from hard decisions and hard life situations. And they became weaker and weaker and weaker as we grew older, or maybe we became more stronger, the people who weren't sheltered became stronger and stronger as they stayed weak. And as adults, middle-aged and older, they're incredibly weak mentally and emotionally. They're fragile. They're so fragile, and they're pathetic. And unfortunately for them, and it's because they didn't face adversity and deal with problems. So you have to see that as a positive. You have to see that as a positive. Like in boxing. Well, there we go. I don't know how it's going to work. The internet, my whole line just fell off. I don't know what's going to happen, so we'll see what happens. All right. How was the 1800s? They're pretty good. They're pretty good. It was hard to program back then. How long is the mentorship program? As long as you want, as long as you need. Some people work faster, some people slower. It's up to you. That's the whole point of it. I agree with you, my man. There we go. Yeah. YouTube was glitching. All right. That's it. We're going to end this stream. Yeah, I don't know what happened. So I'll let you go. We're in this for 40 minutes or so. We'll talk soon. Actually, you know what? We'll go to my